From the Casebook of Maud Easton, December 1902. My detective agency had now been established for nearly 2 years, during which time I'd had some interesting cases, and wasn't missing my previous life as an actress in the slightest. Anyway, during a lull in casework, I was feeling at a loose end and decided to visit the music hall where Dan Leno had given me my first break. They were performing a pantomime. Upon arriving early, I went backstage to say hello to my old colleagues, but found the place in a great uproar. "Oh, it's ever so queer, Maud," said Lily in the dressing room. "What is?" I replied. "Mr. Leno has disappeared. No one's seen hide nor hair of him." "Has anyone tried looking for him?" I asked. "Yes, but he ain't to be found in any of his usual haunts. Truth is, he's struggling to perform. He gets aggressive and forgets his lines. You must have heard what he's become like." "Maybe he's just lying low and doesn't want to be found." "Perhaps," said Lily. "But he's the one the punters come to see. Can't you do something?" Lily was right, in that the show did lack much without him, and the audience was not backward in showing its displeasure. I left feeling troubled. Mr. Leno had always liked to drink, as did we all, but since leaving to form my agency, I had come to see the devastation it could wreak. But I owed Mr. Leno a lot, and vowed to do what I could. The following day, I met with Joseph Freeman, a journalist acquaintance who I already had had some escapades with. "The police aren't going to be interested in looking for him unless foul play is suspected," Freeman reasoned. "I know," I retorted. "So do you have any ideas?" "Well, if he's not been seen in any of his usual haunts, where else might he go? Maybe he's left London." "I don't think so. I know he's having problems, but I don't think he'd leave his fellow performers in the lurch," I said. We didn't seem to be getting anywhere, but then a flash of inspiration came to me. "Let's go and ask Dalton at the Bell," I exclaimed. "You think he might be there?" Freeman said. "No, but Dalton always has his ear to the ground." "I'd better come too." I reluctantly conceded that he should, as the Bell was a music hall situated in a rough part of the East End. It was unusual, though, in that most of its clientele were black, as was Dalton, who owned the place. "What makes you reckon I know anything?" he asked, once we were ensconced in his office. "Come on, there's nothing you don't know," I light-heartedly replied. "But there's usually a price attached," Freeman muttered. "Maybe you don't want to be found," Dalton said. "Maybe we're wasting our time," Freeman retorted. "Hold your horses. Mr. Leno's a friend, so I'll make inquiries and let you know." The next day I got word that Dalton wanted to see me, but not at his place, nor in my office. So we met in Hyde Park, where as we ambled, he told me what he had discovered. He ignored the looks he attracted. "It seems he was bundled off the street into a cab, late the other night. The man who told me said it was done in a well-practiced way. They grabbed him and were off in less than 30 seconds. "Did your man get the cab number?" I ventured. "No, sorry." After Dalton left, I continued to perambulate around the park, as I was deeply puzzled and perturbed as to why anyone would want to snatch Mr. Leno off the street. Then I recalled Dalton said that the witness had stated Leno had been manhandled in a well-practiced way. I returned to my office and found the card I had been given by a shadowy individual called Coker, who had been involved in the events that led to my becoming a private detective nearly 2 years ago. I sent him a telegram, and we met at a quiet spot on the riverside. "I wondered how long it might take you, Miss Easton. Less than 2 days. I'm impressed." "So you were behind it? But why? What have you done with him?" I demanded to know. "Mr. Leno is safe enough, I can assure you. In fact, he's doing very well and fully understands the gravity of his situation. At least, I hope he does." Seeing the expression on my face, Coker continued. "Of course, what I am about to tell you is top secret."
and will be denied anyway. The fact is, Mr. Leno has in the past proved himself useful in passing on all manner of information to us.
About what? You can't say naturally.
Naturally, replied Coker. But his increased drinking had led him to be indiscreet, and a liability, though so far no damage has been done. We've just impressed on him the need for his continued silence. Don't look like that. We've been perfectly reasonable, as he was once he'd sobered up.
With that, he got up and strode away, and I was left with the uneasy feeling that it wouldn't be the end of the matter. Postscript to the casebook added October 1904. In 1903, Dan Leno was admitted to Camberwell House Lunatic Asylum. Whether that was Coker's doing, I never did find out for sure. He continued his sad decline and passed away the following year. I prefer to remember him at his mesmerizing best, when he had an audience eating out of his hand, with the rest of the performers also spellbound at his genius. Maud Easton, The Case of the Missing Showman, was performed by Yasmin Meaden. It was written and produced by Benjamin Peel.